Now let's take a look at our navigation. Hop into Aptana here and let's open that navigation.php file that we just created. And let's go ahead and let's make this dynamic. Now I'll tell you right off the bat, by the time this series is over, this table we made for pages, we won't even have it again. This is something you could use right now if you wanted to branch off and start making your own CMS or your own sites. However, we're going to make things a lot more in depth. So the same goes with what we're about to do right now. I'm going to show you how we can pull this navigation dynamically from the database, but eventually we will be doing this in an even more slick fashion. But the same principles apply. So let's go in here and let's create some PHP tags here. And we're going to need to run a query, and we're going to pull all the pages from the database so we know what to put in here in our navigation. So we'll do q equals, and we need to put our query in here, and we're going to do select asterisk for all from pages, and we can leave it at that. Probably the simplest query you'll ever write. So we need to run that query and store the result. So R for result equals mysqli underscore query, and that's going to need our database connection and the query we just created. Go ahead and semicolon that. So now what we need to do is run what's called a while loop, and in that while loop it's going to generate a list item for each one of the pages that it finds in the database. So to do a while loop, type while, and we need a set of parentheses, then our curly brackets, and give ourselves a little space here. Now what the while loop's going to do is we're going to run that mysqli fetch associative array function in here, and it's going to run this loop once for every record that we pull from the database from this query. So in this case, since we know we have 2 pages in the database, it's going to run twice, thus creating 2 list items. So while, we'll just call this array nav equals mysqli underscore fetch assoc, and we need to put in the result, which is R. And now what we need to do is we need to echo out the list item. So echo, and I'm going to do single quotes, and this pretty much needs to mimic what's on line 19. So li, we'll leave out the active class thing just for now, and a href equals, so I'm pretty much creating kind of a shell of one of these list items. And go ahead and close that. Now we're going to need some values. So let's first get the name of the page. So we'll come in here and we need to concatenate. So we're going to break this string in half kind of here. So we'll do a single quote, dot, and then we need to put in nav title. So we want the title of the page, and then after the square brackets, do another dot to concatenate, and then another single quote. So we're pretty much just breaking this, tossing in the value of title for that page, and then starting it up again here. So when we run this, this is going to create 2 more list items. So let's go ahead and save this and take a look at what happens. So refresh. There you go. So now we have 2 extra items here. But they're not going to go anywhere yet because we don't have anything in the href property. So for the href, we need to do question mark page equals, and then we need to concatenate again. So we need to break the string, single quote, period. We're going to do nav. And then this time in the square brackets, we need to do ID. And after the square brackets, we need to do a dot and a single quote as well to end the concatenation here. And there you go. So now we've actually created a link that's going to work. And we'll save that and let's test that out. So refresh, click on About Us. There we go, we're on the About page. Of course, you're seeing this one is selected, and that's because we have the active class running down here. So now we need to make that work. But before I do that, I want to show you something different. While echoing works here, there's something I like to do. The other option is to actually break our PHP and write our code out without having to do it with echo statements. So we'll keep this here for reference for just a second, and I'm going to comment it out. Let's come down here and let's end the PHP. And this is a pretty cool feature of PHP, and it's something I didn't learn right away, and I wish I would have. Then we can start the PHP again here where we have this curly bracket, because we need that to be PHP. And let's just go ahead and pull this closing tag up here. Okay, so now this while loop still works the way we want it to. Except now we can put in regular HTML in here. And this HTML is only going to run within the while loop. And that's pretty cool. This allows us also to have all the auto-completing and stuff like that that we don't have available to us when writing things in a PHP string. So now we can actually just copy one of these lines here, paste that in here, and now for the places that we need to be able to put variables, like for page equals 1, then we'll do an echo, and we'll do a small little echo inside here, and we'll do PHP tag echo nav ID semicolon, and close the PHP. So it's up to you how you do it. You can continue to use this echo method if that's the way you like doing it, but this is the way I'm going to do it for the rest of the series. So let's finish this up here. So we need for our so for the title of our link, we need to get that nav title. So let's just go ahead and copy this little chunk of PHP here and remove home and paste it in place of there, and then we can just simply change the key of that array to title. So now we've pretty much got the same thing that we had up here with the echo. So we can get rid of that. And this will clean up our code a little bit. We can take this closing PHP and put it on that line. But we still need to do this active class. So we need to put in for the if statement, if page ID is equal to whatever the nav ID is. So let's just copy nav ID here. We don't need the echo or the PHP tags because this is already inside of PHP tags. And just replace this number 1 here with nav ID. And let's go ahead and save this and make sure we've got everything running correct. Refresh. Cool. Now it's selecting the correct one. So if we click on homepage again, it's selected homepage. And again, it's still selecting these, so we need to take these out. So let's go ahead and remove these here, line 18 and 19. And this is our dynamic navigation, whereas we'll keep these around because if we wanted to put anything in here that was kind of static or hard-coded in, we could do that here. Save that. Refresh, and there, it's back to normal. Now, maybe we don't want this to read out the same thing as what comes up in the title bar here. Maybe we want our navigation to have its own kind of label. So what we could do is we could come in here to our pages table in phpMyAdmin, and we can go ahead and add a column to this table. So if we click on structure up here, we choose add column, and we're just going to do 1, And I want to choose where it shows up. I want it to be after the ID. Click Go. And if you haven't noticed already before, in PHP My Admin, if you're only adding one column, or actually between 1 and 3, the form shows up vertical. Whereas when you're adding more than 3, it shows up horizontal. So let's give this column a name. We'll just call this label. And we'll do varchar length, let's do 100. And go ahead and save this. So what this field is going to be, click on Browse here. This is going to contain the label we want to give it, or what ends up being the label for the navigation. So let's just check both these boxes here and click Change, so we can edit both records at the same time. And for label, we just want Home. And About Us, we just want About. And click Go. And that gives us a little more customization. So let's hop back over here. We need to change title at the end of line 13 here to label. Save that. Hop over to our page. Refresh. There we go. Back to the way it was. But now if we add pages in here, it's going to automatically add them to our navigation.